And the Bucs hope that this will be their first victory ever.
We have a great area, growing area, in Tampa, St. Petersburg, Clearwater, Sarasota, Bradenton, Lakeland, and Winter Haven, and even Wauchula. Over 2 million fans, and it's the fastest growing area in the United States.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, live from Tampa Stadium. For the first time ever in a regular season, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers enter the stadium with numbers in both the win and loss columns. The Buccaneers came onto the field to a wild standing ovation from the some 60,000-plus fans at Tampa Stadium. They did not introduce any players individually. The PA announcer said, "Ladies and gentlemen, your Tampa Bay Buccaneers."
Welcome to San Diego, California. Super Bowl 37. It is Tampa Bay versus the Oakland Raiders. Third down, 18. Dropping Gannon, looking Gannon. Throws up the middle. It's intercepted at the 40. Derek Brooks 30. Brooks to the 25. 20. Derek Brooks all the way. There it is. The dagger's in. We're going to win the Super Bowl.
Super Bowl, baby! Boom, boom, boom! Yeah!
Tom Brady signing with the Tampa Bay Bucs tomorrow. Holy hell. Tom Brady going to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. That's going to be a tough team to stop, I think, at this point.
He said, you know what ring is my favorite one? My favorite ring is the next one. Everyone always says, why the Bucs, man? Why did you choose the Bucs? And it was a no-brainer.
Brady has all kinds of time. Throws toward the end zone. It is a caught ball. Touchdown, Tampa Bay. Mike Evans. 8 seconds, 7 seconds. Brady to throw. Throws a deep pass downfield. Got Scotty Miller in the open. Makes the catch. Touchdown, Tampa Bay. Here's the snap out of the gun. Play action fake pass to Gronkowski. He's going to score a touchdown. Touchdown, Tampa Bay. Holy guacamole. And the Buccaneer Nation will celebrate. And I want to hear cannons.
We do.
I want to hear cannons.
For sure.
And I think we are going to hear cannons. If I got to do the boom, boom, boom myself. Bucs win. Bucs win. Bucs win the Super Bowl 55. Tom Brady engineers the offense. The Buccaneers score late in the first half, early in the second half. And there the cannons come. Fire them. Keep on firing them. Keep on firing them. How about the Buccaneers, huh?
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to a brand new edition of the Cannon Fire Podcast. Back at you today for episode 200. And how fitting. The gang is all here. I'm your host, Rhett Matthew, joined alongside me, as always, my good buddy and co-host, the Philly Bucs fan himself, Mr. Evan Wanish. And of course, for the big 200, we had to get the practice squad guy in here, our good buddy James Hill, a.k.a. Mr. Bucs Nation, the honorary third member of the show. How are we doing, boys?
You know, it's kind of crazy that we've been doing 200 of these things. So first, I want to thank every single person out there that has ever listened, subscribed, liked, commented, whatever it is, whether it be on YouTube, whether it be on Apple, Spotify, wherever, right? You know, I gotta admit, when Rhett told me who the third guy was gonna be, I was like, it's James. I was like, are you kidding me? Because it makes me out to be a liar, right? Because as the chat is already focusing on, I assured people that it was not going to be James. I was bamboozled. That's on me. Chest pat, okay? Chest pat, that's on me. All right. But James, happy to have you here. How you doing tonight, buddy?
You know, I'm a sub-in guy. I'm filling in.
Yeah? That's it, huh?
Sorry. I thought everything would.
Oh my God.
Gone.
It appears everything did go. Holy hell. What?
I'm the plot twist. I kicked him out. So that's it. James is done.
I'm happy
James is done.
Oh no.
Oh my God. Welcome back, buddy. What a great start.
Oh no.
So, aside from James joining us for episode 200, we actually
for
do
about
some
20 seconds.
Yeah, right. Yeah. We'll see if he can get back from what he's going through right now. But aside from all of that, ladies and gentlemen, it is game week. The Buccaneers play football in less than 3 days. Thursday night football. They start their title defense against the Dallas Cowboys in Raymond James Stadium. That'll be Thursday night football. I believe kickoff is right about 8:20. And welcome back, James Hill. Glad to have you on the program, buddy. How you doing? Did you have to hard reset everything over there, or?
Am I here?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. Like I said, I'm just happy to be here. You know,
you guys see what happens? Like we hyped up this incredible guest. We get James on the show, and then even the production value just drops.
It's just me. It's just me, guys. Nothing special. But no, I'm happy to be here. It's awesome. Like Evan was saying, 200 episodes. My God. You know, I think of the meme, right? Like, who would have thought, huh? Who would have thought? Not me.
Not me.
You know, so it's awesome. It's absolutely awesome. And, you know, I think that, you know, I thank everybody who has supported this show because it's a really cool thing. Love what you guys do here.
Oh yeah, brother.
Every time you pause to say something, I think you're frozen.
Yeah, I think your computer's about to explode and you're going to drop out of the show again.
We'll have to wait and see if it happens again.
So let's talk about some football. Like I had mentioned, we are just 3 days away from the Buccaneers kicking off the 2021 season at home. And Dak Prescott, a healthy Dak Prescott, is coming to town. And he's bringing Dallas with him. Dallas announced, yesterday? That they are missing all-pro guard Zach Martin for this game, who has been placed on the reserve list and will not play because he's not going to be able to be clear by Thursday night. That is already a huge blow to the offensive line for Dallas. The Buccaneers coming into this game pretty healthy. Still kind of unsure about Jordan Whitehead. Not entirely sure what his status will be. We'll talk about that a little bit more later. Let's talk about this battle in the trenches, because I'll be honest with you, when I look at this game and I want to break it down, you know, I'm looking at the Buccaneers defense. You know, I'm paying close attention to how things start for them, because the last time we talked about this defense after the Houston game, you know, Evan, you were pretty clear in saying you don't really think they deserve the early exit that they got. And I will say that even though it's a limited number of snaps, what we saw from this defense in the preseason leads me to believe that, you know, they're definitely not going to be playing at the pace they were in the Super Bowl come week one. Should we be concerned or?
Well, that's to be expected. You know, week one, you're going to have those jitters. And I believe I talked about this on James's video last night, that this isn't an easy opponent to go right out of the gate with. You're talking about Dallas, a team who is predicated on scoring points and scoring a lot of them. You know, they have one of the best wide receiver trios in the NFL. Amari Cooper last season had over 1,000 yards receiving, which ranked 14th in the NFL. CeeDee Lamb was actually ranked 25th in the NFL with 935 yards receiving. Mike Evans is, you know, on a Bucs perspective, Mike Evans ranked 18th. So the Cowboys have 2 top 25 receiving yards wide receivers, while the Bucs only have 1. So that tells you. And also, they were playing with Andy Dalton for a good portion of the season. So that really tells you just how talented this wide receiver group is. And it's going to be a real test to this defense. I really do think it's going to be a test, and they're going to have to win in the trenches. They really are. Zach Martin being out, a huge loss. Connor McGovern is replacing him. And believe it or not, I actually messed up on James's video, because I said McGovern was like a veteran, like he's played on multiple teams and stuff. There's actually 2 Connor McGoverns in the NFL, believe it or not. 2 the exact same name, spelled the exact same way. This one is a 2019 third-round pick by the Cowboys. Started 8 games last year, appeared in 14, had a 61.7 PFF Pro Football Focus grade, which I don't love Pro Football Focus, but just of comparison, Zach Martin had a 91.3 Pro Football Focus grade, which was second among guards in the NFL. So that's the type of drop-off that they're about to have here, and it's a huge loss for them and their entire offense.
When you look along the Buccaneers defensive line, with Jason Pierre-Paul coming out, I think just today, he says he feels as healthy as he did in 2010. Like, he cannot stress enough to the local media that he is ready to go this season. He feels better than he has in many, many years. And that's a guy who's putting up double-digit sacks, damn near 10 sacks off of a broken freaking neck in half of a season. This man is a machine. We know it to be true. I know he's getting older, but he says he's healthy. You've got Shaq Barrett, who might be a little motivated. I'm curious to see how he starts his season. He just got that huge contract from Tampa Bay that, he went and bet on himself, got 19 and a half sacks, hit with the franchise tag, and here we are. Shaq got paid, so hopefully he's happy enough to go out there and perform. I think he's still, a top-tier edge rusher in the NFL, so I'm excited to see him. And then let's talk about the rookie. Joe Trion will be making his regular season debut. Obviously, the expectations are he's a rotational guy, but with everybody being healthy, JPP talking about how healthy he feels, and Joe Trion just being another wrench in the plans of any offense in the NFL that's, going to try and guard these guys, with Zach Martin out, I see no reason that this defensive line should not at least get after the quarterback a good amount of the day. And talking about Dak Prescott, who can be shifty, he can get away from you, and the Bucs have trouble with that. But just keeping a guy like that under pressure, keeping those receivers out there longer, keeping those plays developing, taking away windows, that's what's going to win them this game. And it all starts in the trenches. James, what are some storylines you're looking at, either for the defense or really just this game in general?
Yeah, like Evan was talking about, some of those guys that are missing along that Cowboys offensive line could be one of the, main deciding factors of how this game is going to go. You mentioned all those names: Shaq Barrett, Jason Pierre-Paul, Joe Tryon, even Vita Vea, along the defensive line there. All those guys, I think, can benefit a lot from some of the guys who are going to be out along that Dallas Cowboys offensive line. I didn't know there were two Connor McGoverns either, Evan. I thought, whenever we had talked about it, I thought you were talking about the guy who played for the Jets, the Broncos. Yeah. That's not the case. I didn't know that. I thought we were talking about that guy who's been in the league like 6 years. But apparently there's another Connor McGovern. That's interesting. So, like Evan said, big drop off, right? Buccaneers have to attack those weaknesses that the Cowboys have now along that offensive line and exploit that with the, large firepower that they have along that front seven. I think that's going to be huge. Absolutely. Dak Prescott, he's coming off of an ankle injury. He's coming off of some shoulder problems. He's pretty rusty. It's been a while since he's been in a full game of live bullets flying, right? So I think the Buccaneers do need to take advantage of that. I do think they need to attack with a lot of consistency against Dak Prescott, and we'll see what they do. Todd Bowles, he's been a very aggressive play caller since he's come into Tampa Bay, and right now, given all the circumstances surrounding the Cowboys offense, I would see, no reason as to why that shouldn't continue.
Absolutely. While we talk about the defense, let's take a look at this secondary, who, like I mentioned at the start of the show, might be without Jordan Whitehead, as we don't entirely know what his deal is. Hasn't consistently practiced since the middle of training camp. He came back for a little while and then was pulled back out of practice, and we kind of haven't seen him since. He didn't get any preseason action, as far as I understand. And Bruce has been confident in saying that he should be ready to go week 1, but I believe the first injury report comes out tomorrow, right?
It came out today.
It did come out today. Is Jordan Whitehead on there?
He did. He was on there. He did not participate in practice. The three Buccaneers that were on there were Jordan Whitehead, Antonio Brown, and Giovanni Bernard. Bernard and Brown were both full participation, while Whitehead was listed and he just did not participate.
So let's go ahead and assume that Jordan Whitehead isn't going to play. Just because no preseason reps, you missed out on the second half of training camp. Even if he is healthy enough to go out there and play, I don't think he's going to be your starting safety, nor should he. So let's talk about this. Mike Edwards, who is probably going to step up and have a little bit bigger of a role. What kind of expectations do you have for Mike Edwards? And, how much of a test is this going to be for the secondary as a whole? You're missing Jordan Whitehead, but we know Mike Edwards has hands. He's a very, very talented guy. We even talked about the possibility of Mike Edwards getting more playing time this year, 2 months ago when he was having a kick-ass camp. So what are your thoughts, Evan?
So the interesting thing is the things that Mike Edwards does well are things that Jordan Whitehead doesn't do well, which makes it interesting because Whitehead sort of played that strong safety role for them a lot, being down in the box, being that blitzer. Maybe you see Antoine Winfield Jr. maybe be that guy now instead of Jordan Whitehead, because I'm not sure if Mike Edwards can consistently do that. He's more of a free safety, a guy that's going to roam around, kind of be a ball hawk. That's what he's always been. And even in Tampa Bay, he's been good at it too. So it'll be interesting to see how they kind of handle that. Does Ross Cockrell, does he get involved in the safety mix? You know, do they sort of do a safety by committee? I'm going to be interested to see how they handle that. It might be against certain defenses, you know, maybe the formations or however these defenses line up that, or offenses, excuse me, how they may line up. You know, who knows? I know Corey Fleming, you know, brings up in the chat, bring up Andrew Adams from the practice squad. I don't think they do that soon. But if Whitehead misses extended period of time, maybe you see something like that. I think Adams can play in the box probably a little bit better than Edwards can. I am excited to see Mike Edwards. I said in a take bag a few months ago, I was like, you know, he might win the safety job by default because Jordan Whitehead wasn't out there. And then he came back for like a week and then he was gone again. Unfortunate for Whitehead, who, reminder, is in a contract year. So big year for Jordan Whitehead here, potentially. And not the best start, but I think the Bucs have the depth to be able to overcome it.
Yeah, I think so for sure. James, what are your thoughts on the secondary coming into this one?
So I do have a question. So I might be remembering this wrong, but isn't there a rule where you can like bring up 2 players on game day from the practice squad and potentially activate them? I feel like there was some rule with that, or am I thinking of something else?
I'm not sure, honestly. I'm not sure. I have to look into that. I'm not sure. If anybody in the chat knows, let us know. But I'm personally not sure.
Okay. So the idea of bringing up Andrew Adams, like you said, Evan, it might be a little bit too early for that, but maybe it's something they consider depending on what goes on with Whitehead. Like you said, he came back for 1 week. He looked really good whenever he came back too. He was getting interceptions. He was doing all these great things, and then he got back out with injury.
He's a good football player. He is.
Yeah, and it's I don't think a situation where it's like, oh man, you know, Jordan Whitehead, you know, he's not playing good and he's hurt. It's like, no, he plays great. He's just hurt. You know, it is what it is. So it will be interesting to see what they do with Mike Edwards and Antoine Winfield Jr. because they don't have like a guy who his sole thing that he's great at is just laying on the hit stick, right?
Well, I mean, it's Jordan Whitehead. You know, it's aside from Jordan Whitehead, they don't have that guy. And I think that's what you were saying. I'm sorry. I didn't mean.
Oh, yeah, that's what I'm saying. I misspoke. My apologies.
No,
so
you're good.
With a guy like Antoine Winfield Jr. and Mike Edwards, you know, both those guys are going to be better in coverage. So that may help out in certain situations, but that also might take away certain aspects in run defense and things along those lines where Jordan Whitehead really helped out in regards to that. So against a back like Ezekiel Elliott, we'll see how that goes. You know, that might hamper their run defense a little bit. Pay attention to that. So that's kind of the big takeaway for me in regards to Jordan Whitehead not playing in this game. Will they bring in Andrew Adams? Will they, you know, give Ross Cockrell? I mean, even in the case of like Ross Cockrell, even he gives you similar things to what Antoine Winfield Jr. and Mike Edwards do. So it's not like you're really throwing anybody in there that can help replicate what Jordan Whitehead does. They just don't really have anybody like that right now, unless Chris Cooper goes out there and just starts laying out fools. You know, who knows, you know, so maybe more coverage type things with their safeties instead of just having a guy go down there and just lay the hit stick.
Now, we've talked a whole lot about Dak Prescott, Dallas's passing attack, but we have yet to talk about that running back who may or may not be a factor, and that is big Ezekiel Elliott. I don't know, man. I would like to believe that Ezekiel Elliott can take steps towards the running back he was at one point. I don't think he's ever going to get back to that point. But let's not forget that for 2 years running, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have had the #1 run defense in the NFL. So if Dallas tries to run the ball, I don't know how well it's going to go for him. I know Ezekiel Elliott, you know, it's Zeke, it's whatever. He strives off of carries, but I don't think his ass is going anywhere. And I don't think he's going to be that much of a factor this year at all. Like, I kind of feel bad for some of the people who picked him in fantasy this season because I just don't think he's the guy anymore. that inflated contract that I still cannot believe Dallas paid him. There's just a lot of things about Zeke that seem uncertain right now, but you take that uncertainty and you match it up against the best run defense in the NFL for 2 seasons straight, you're not going to get a very productive day. But we can talk about how the Bucs are going to approach it, but truthfully, I think they got it covered. You know what I mean? I'm not really too worried about Zeke. Is that an accurate description, James? Would you say?
Well, I did pick Ezekiel Elliott in fantasy, so that is what it.
You would. Okay.
Number 8.
I'm almost not even shocked by that.
I did pick him in fantasy, number 8 overall.
Oh,
is your quarterback Jameis Winston?
Who were
No, I considered it. My quarterback.
Let me ask you. Do you remember the other running backs?
You did not consider it.
Huh?
You did not consider Jameis Winston.
At the very end of the draft, I did, but my quarterbacks are Derek Carr, Ryan Fitzpatrick, and Zach Wilson.
Why do you have 3 quarterbacks?
That's
because
terrible.
They're all average. What? Yeah,
Why do you have average
What the hell?
quarterbacks?
We're going from a game preview, and now we're going to talk about your fantasy team. The one question I wanted to ask you is that when you picked Ezekiel Elliott, 8th overall, what other running backs were on the board? Because I know that there were better options than Zeke with pick number 8.
I don't remember who was on the board. I'll get that information and get back. I'll get that information and get back to you on it. But I did pick him in fantasy, and yeah, I mean, you guys remember that stretch where the Tampa Bay Buccaneers went up against like the best running backs in the league week after week after week? It was Christian McCaffrey, Saquon Barkley, Todd Gurley, like all these guys that were in their prime. They did phenomenal. It's kind of starting off that way again with Ezekiel Elliott. And I talked about this a little bit earlier on in the week. I know people are down on Zeke, and I'm not just saying this because of fantasy bias, because he's on my team, but I still think Zeke's one of the top running backs in the league, is a pure runner, big physical runner. And, weaknesses along that offensive line, I think, are going to hurt the running game. And I think that if you can stop Ezekiel Elliott, who, in my opinion, is still a main cog in this Cowboys offensive machine, it really is going to prevent the Cowboys from doing a handful of things that they do on offense. So I think it's going to be a huge priority. Obviously, of course, the Buccaneers have had a top run defense the past 2 years, and I think that does matter, of course. But there's always that nugget of info in my head where Bruce goes, hey, this team hasn't done anything this year.
Doesn't matter what you did last year or the year before. No, that is actually kind of correct.
Right. So, I mean, I still think that the team is going to have a great run defense. I just think that, and hey, I'm not a coach, so it doesn't matter, for me. But, I just have that nugget in my head. You never know what's going to happen. But overall, I think that if they can stop Ezekiel Elliott, which is a, decent possibility of that potentially happening, given how the past couple of years have been, going to be huge in terms of preventing the Cowboys from doing a handful of things on offense.
Evan, your thoughts?
This is a PSA. Listen up. Listen up. This is a PSA to anyone that is in James Hill's fantasy football league. Please trade him a quarterback. Please.
You know what?
Please send him a quarterback.
James,
I'm begging.
I'm still so perplexed. Why do you have 3 quarterbacks on your roster?
Dude, I took Fitzy.
He's got to have somebody in the flex position.
Dude, look, we only play with one quarterback. I took Fitzy, and I was like, man, he might get
Fitzy,
benched.
we're calling him Fitzy now.
I took Fitz, and I was like, man,
any one of those guys might be benched.
Look, I was like, man, he might be benched at some point. I was like, I better play it safe and take Zach Wilson, because I heard he's doing good in the preseason.
And then he's a rookie. I was playing it safe picking a rookie. Oh,
and then I was like, man, okay, well, I've got Zach Wilson.
Rookie on the freaking Jets.
And I was like, man, I've
safe.
got Zach Wilson and Fitz. I was like, I watched a YouTube video where Brett Collerman said that Derek Carr is a sleeper. Shoot, I'll roll with Derek Carr. Let's go.
No offense to you, this might be the most idiotic draft strategy I ever heard in my life.
Hey, I have Josh Jacobs too, if it makes you feel better.
I have Josh Jacobs in I believe my ESPN league.
Yeah, but you don't have the starting quarterback of the worst team in the league.
No, you're goddamn right.
quarterbacks.
You know what? You know what? Just go talk about Ezekiel Elliott and the Cowboys running game, Evan.
James, we love you, buddy. Evan, your thoughts on Zeke? Is he going to be a factor this week?
I'm more actually looking at Tony Pollard. It's just in the passing game. They really like to use Zeke can catch the ball, but like they use Tony Pollard for most of the screens or the check downs and stuff. He's a pretty good receiving back. I'm looking more towards him because, like you said, I don't think Zeke is going to be able to run the ball. Even if Zach Martin was in there, I just don't see it. So Zach Martin, who is their best offensive lineman, I think, is now not playing. I don't see many holes that Zeke's going to have to run through. And the Ndamukong Suh was activated off of the COVID list today, so he's back.
Vita Vea is
good to go.
Yeah, man.
Will Golston. It's going to be tough sledding, I think, for Zeke. So if you're a fantasy owner and you have Ezekiel Elliott week 1, he's probably not going to get you that many points. But luckily, you have a quarterback or 3 quarterbacks that can really help you win.
Yeah.
Because everybody knows that's how you win a league. You get three very average quarterbacks.
That's right.
That are on offenses that aren't going to put up a lot of points.
It's a rotation of whoever you believe in the most that week.
This week it's Fitz.
Really quickly checking in with our live chat. Our buddy Ethan says he picked Zeke at the end of his 3rd round, which is
do it then. Sure.
Right. If Zeke's there at the end of the 3rd and you're picking towards the end of the round and you don't have a running back or you need one, sure. Okay. But 8th overall.
Yeah, I took him 8th overall.
I have to believe that there are better picks, even if it's not at running back. Get yourself a receiver with the first pick. Like, just I don't know. Ethan also says that. Let me ask you something, James.
You might be better off with Keyshawn Vaughn.
Did you also draft Michael Thomas in the 2nd?
No, I wanted Michael Thomas, but I forgot to draft him.
You forgot to draft in what, the 2nd round? You wanted him?
No, it was like I think the 5th round or something.
He was looking in the 1st round.
No,
I wanted him at number 8, man, and I just couldn't find him.
No. So like I made my pick and I was like, okay, yeah, I feel happy with who I got. And then I saw Michael Thomas was on the board and I was like, wait, he's still there? I was like, oh, that's right, he's not going to play.
Oh,
and then somebody took him, so I was sad.
G Vegas, the moderator, holding it down, says, "What's up, guys? My auto draft had me select Zeke and Dak, depending on. I'm curious what rounds those were." Brent Allen of formerly the Pewtercast says, "What's up, boys? Happy 200th. Glad to have you here, Brent. Thanks for stopping by, my friend." Bucks Time 12 says, "The James and Evan tour continues." Hell yeah, man. Corey,
we're gonna get in a cage one of these days.
It's actually going to happen at the watch party. I think we mentioned that before. I think it's Hell in a Cell at the watch party.
Little do we know. Yes.
Evan's going to throw you off the top of the cell into the beer garden. It's going to be awesome.
That's right.
Corey Fleming asks a great question, and this is the last we'll talk about the defense before we talk about the offense and some of the expectations there. He says, "Do you think Dak will be rusty?" I think he will show signs. And yeah, I mean, I think that's pretty true. This is a guy who's coming off of a pretty major injury, hasn't seen a lot of football action in a while. Wasn't too intensive over training camp, right? Didn't get a whole lot of reps. I know there was some uncertainty for a while. But I think if the Bucs defense goes out there and does their job, if, Vita Vea can clear a hole and Joe Trion, Shaq Barrett, JPP, or whatever linebacker you send screaming on a blitz, if you can get in the backfield and disrupt things for Dak Prescott, I think he'll look a lot worse than we expect. But with that said, it also wouldn't surprise me if he comes out here and, plays like the Dak he did before he got injured last year. If the Bucs shut down Zeke and Dallas has no choice but to be one-dimensional with their passing game, Dak can definitely sling it. And, he's mobile enough in the pocket to where he's going to be making some things happen. But I do think he will be a little rusty, and hopefully, the Bucs can go out there and make his job a little bit harder.
October 11th, 2020. That was the last time Dak Prescott played a football game. That was the game versus the New York Giants, where he suffered a compound fracture and a dislocation to his right ankle. Hasn't played a football game since. You better believe I think he's going to be rusty. I really do. Before that injury, I need to remind everybody, Dak Prescott was like one of, if not the best quarterback in the NFL. He was playing at a ridiculous pace.
I think he's the first player in history to throw for 3 straight 500-plus yard games or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he was off to an incredible start.
1,856 yards, 9 touchdowns, 4 interceptions in just 5 games. That's a crazy stat line. So, just like you said, he can sling it. The question is, where's his mental state at? Right? Where's his mental state with missing your best offensive lineman and the first game back against the Super Bowl champions, or defending Super Bowl champions, I should say, in their house on prime time? Where's your mind going to be?
Hey,
how are you going to be feeling that pressure?
Also, let me just throw this tidbit in there. I don't mean to interrupt you, but a full damn stadium. Oh my God, Raymond James is going to be filled to the brim with red and pewter wearing sons of bitches that are going to be screaming their heads off, and it's going to be beautiful. It has been such a long time coming.
The annoying thing is that, like, there will be some Dallas fans there just because it's Dallas. You know, like there will be, like, that's annoying, but whatever.
It's week 1. Somebody might get drunk enough to, like, start a fight and beat those guys up.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, let's hope. But anyways, like I said, Prescott was on a ridiculous pace last year, so he can play the game, right? And I talked about the receiver trio. I talked about Amari Cooper and CeeDee Lamb. I haven't even mentioned Michael Gallup yet, who's one of the better slot receivers in the NFL and a consistent deep threat. The Bucs are going to need to watch out for every single one of them, right? This might be the best wide receiver trio they're going to face this year, and it comes in week 1. And like you said earlier, I believe that the defense didn't really deserve to be let off the hook for that Texans game. I didn't really think their performance was completely acceptable, and they were. Okay, let's see how it pays off. Let's see if they're going to come out ready to play this football game and face an offense that, while they're missing their best offensive lineman, they have just a ton of talent. So it'll be interesting to see. The biggest thing is you just can't let Prescott sit there. You got to get after him, right? You got to find ways to get after him, especially with a 4-man rush. Because with the wide receiver trios, what you're not going to want to do as much is blitz, because that could really leave your corners on an island. So with a 4-man rush, you're going to have to get home, or at least get pressure consistently. Make Dak test that ankle out, make him think about it, and just have him thinking all night. Have him become, by the late third quarter, early fourth quarter, have him be scared. When every time he snaps the ball, have him be scared. That could lead to more mistakes, more turnovers, stuff that he is actually pretty good at preventing. However, pass rush makes everything. I've said, pass rush, I think, is one of the most important things in football. If you have no pass rush, you will not win. And if the Bucs have no pass rush in this game, I don't know if they're going to win this game, because it's just, you can't let him just sit back there and have all day.
Yeah. And to kind of piggyback off of what you said about the pass rush, winning the battles at the line of scrimmage and forcing Dak Prescott to potentially make those mistakes is going to be important. I know we said we're going to, talk about the offense here in a second, and we will. This is the last thing I want to ask you about the defense. We talked about the secondary, in particular, that safety rotation, maybe Mike Edwards getting more playing time, but let's talk about the corners. It seems like Carlton Davis is probably going to match up against Amari Cooper. Amari Cooper's fast as hell, and Carlton Davis does not do well against receivers like that. How are we feeling about the matchups? What corner is going to play where? How do you think the Bucs are going to use them and adapt to this style? Is Carlton going to struggle? Because this is a guy that just earlier this week came out and said that he is second to none in the NFL as far as cornerbacks go. So I like the confidence, but that's going to be a shame if he says that, and then, Amari Cooper has 100 yards in the first half.
Yeah, I said this on James's show. I think Cooper is going to be a real challenge for Carlton Davis. I really do. The way he is, how twitchy he is, and his route running ability, it's so quick. Amari Cooper doesn't have Tyreek Hill speed, but what he has is quickness, right? The type of corner that I think Carlton Davis works best with, or I should say, the type of receiver is a Michael Thomas type, a guy who's more of a possession receiver, more of a guy that wants to win on size and not with speed or twitchiness or quickness. That's not Cooper. Cooper is a guy who's going to look to get open with quick routes, and that's something that Davis has struggled with. James counterpointed that with, look, he's the number one corner. Amari Cooper is the Cowboys' number one receiver. So, let's what does that mean? What
Hashtag number one corner.
Hashtag. I didn't know we were doing. I didn't know that was a thing.
I think it's a thing Carlton does sometimes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, so that's another side of it. So James, what do you think about not only Carlton Davis against Amari Cooper, but Sean Murphy Bunting or Jamel Dean, somebody like that against these other two guys?
Yeah, we talked about it, Evan, on the channel yesterday. If Carlton Davis wants to be a number one corner and he's exuding that confidence and saying, hey, I'm second to none, I want to be one of the premier lockdown guys in this league, you've got to prove that. And how do you prove that? You go up against the number ones. So maybe Todd Bowles and the defensive minds for the Buccaneers coaching staff say, okay, prove it. Prove you're the number one guy here. You're in a contract year. So let's see what you can do. Go up against the number ones this year, regardless of what their abilities are and how you may or may not match up. You're the number one corner. You're going to be going up against the number one guy. You want to lock them down. Show us you can do that. So I think that there is a pretty legitimate chance there that, yeah, they will just say, okay, Carlton, you're going up against their number ones. Maybe they put Sean Murphy Bunting on, say, Michael Gallup, and then maybe they put Jamel Dean on like a CeeDee Lamb. That might be the scenario that happens there, just to, prove points as to what the guys in the secondary have been saying about the confidence going into this upcoming season and whatnot. You got to put your money where your words are, so to speak. So I'm going to be very interested to see how they line up. That's kind of my guess as to how they're going to line up. The Gravediggers, man, I mean, they got their nickname. We've talked about this. I'm still very iffy on that nickname. Maybe it'll grow on me. Who knows?
You think there's like a copyright deal they got to strike with the monster truck? Because, I mean, Gravedigger is a fairly popular monster trucks. You don't really have to know jack all about monster trucks, but everybody knows Gravedigger. So, like,
I don't.
Are you serious?
Yeah. I don't know.
The black and green wrecking machine, Dennis Anderson, dude. Come on now.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
You've never in your childhood, you never once went to a monster truck event or watched them on TV.
Never happened.
All right, well then forget I said anything. Let's go ahead and talk about the offense. I will say that, closing point as far as the defense goes, I really like that point that you brought up, James. These guys have talked about how confident they are all throughout the offseason. They consider themselves some of the best in the league. And I mean, you're going to be matched up against a pretty good group of receivers week one. Go out there and make a statement.
Real quick, though, I wanted to, Bucs Time 12 asked, can we play quarters defense against these guys like in the Super Bowl? I don't know if that would work as well, because Dallas is still going to be able to run the ball, where like the Bucs knew Kansas City was just not going to run the ball. Right. They knew that Kansas City had no desire to run the ball. So I don't know how well that would work. And then he also said, I whined all offseason about our need for a veteran corner, and Lake didn't listen, LOL. Well, here's the thing. A veteran corner on this team would not probably start on this team. You're talking about a veteran corner. So were you asking for a number one corner? Were you asking for like just an example of like a free agent? Were you asking for like a Richard Sherman, or, were you asking for like a big name guy like that? Because that's the only, like, Carlton Davis is the team's number one corner. Like that's it. Jamel Dean is probably the team's number two corner, and Sean Murphy Bunting is likely the nickel guy. So that would mean the veteran that you're bringing in has to be better than one of those three. With what money were you bringing in that veteran that's better than one of those three? You just weren't able to do it.
Yeah, and I mean, we look at the contracts the Bucs were able to make happen to bring all 22 starters back. Eventually, we started adding imaginary years to contracts so we could kind of cheat the system a little bit and save some money every now and again. Thanks to the knowledge and the high IQ mentality of that front office, they did an awesome job. But yeah, there just really wasn't that much more money they could have moved around to secure a guy who wasn't already here. And I agree with Evan. Carlton Davis he's their number one corner. I think he was drafted to eventually be their number one corner. Obviously you draft all your corners to be a number one guy, but Carlton Davis has kind of taken that role and gone with it. He's been matched up with number one receivers a majority of the time. So with that being said, let's go ahead and talk about the offense. It's funny because this conversation isn't going to be nearly as long. Let's talk about expectations for this offense. Looking back at the preseason, that first preseason game against Cincinnati, they got 6 total snaps, didn't do very much with it. It's okay. It was the first preseason game back, and it was only 6 snaps, right? It was a slow start preseason week 3 against Houston, and then 2 90-plus yard scoring drives by Tom Brady and company to get them an early exit in the second quarter. Now, Dallas defense is not the Houston Texans. So I'm very curious to see what kind of start the offense has.
They're also not the Steel Curtain. So
right. I mean,
pretty rough, to be honest with you.
They're not Houston, but they're not anything much better. I mean, they are a step up, I think, compared to Houston for sure, just because that entire
Houston's barely an NFL team.
Right. That entire organization is a train wreck right now. It's a dumpster fire. But a slow start would not surprise me. I feel like the Bucs are going to go out there on the first drive. Fans are going to be hyped. Crowd's going to be loud. They're going to hand it off to Ronald Jones twice. Maybe Tom Brady throws it to the flat. Gio Bernard's sitting out there and they don't get a first down. And then it's a 3-and-out. But after that, I'm curious to see what kind of start they develop. I'm not going to be upset with a slow start. I almost expect it. And maybe I'm, a jerk for expecting it. But I'm just kind of curious to see where these guys are at. I want to believe that they're in a much better place than the defense is. And that's kind of saying something because the defense just won us a goddamn Super Bowl. But we're talking about preseason performance and kind of, judging off of the most recent action we saw from these guys. What I'm trying to ask is, Evan, where do you think this offense is? Are they going to be ready to go? Is Tom Brady going to throw 4 touchdowns in this game, or what kind of game are we going to see?
Well, it's interesting. Let me just preface this. Dallas's defense sucks. It's terrible. It's terrible. Guys, last year, they allowed 30-plus points in 8 of 16 games. That's half of their games. They allowed 30-plus points. They allowed 40-plus points in 2 of those games. This defense is bad. And there's a reason that Dallas drafted an entire defensive class this year, starting with Micah Parsons, the linebacker from Penn State. He'll help. He ain't Lawrence Taylor. He's not helping that much. So they're rough. And this Bucs offense, you look at it on paper and you say, okay, this game should be 45-40 final score, because these 2 offenses are just going to score a bunch. I don't know. Obviously, there is going to be some rust, I think. I personally think the starters, I went on record saying I thought the starting offense should have played a little bit more in the preseason. I really did. Maybe they play an extra drive versus Cincinnati, not just one, because they have, 6 plays or whatever.
Do you think maybe... I mean, this isn't even important, but let me just ask. If you think Brady wasn't sacked, they might have gone out there for another drive.
Maybe. I think that the offensive line kind of maybe scared Bruce a little bit and was like, all right, let's get him out there. The offensive line was able to clear some stuff up, though. Obviously, the Houston game, which we talked about, Houston's nothing to. It's not like they just beat the best defense of all time, but it was nice to see them progress like that. Like I said, this defense is rough, and we all know what the Bucs offense has to offer. We really do. And now they have an extra layer because they have an actual receiving back, something they didn't have last year. Whether it's against the rush, I believe against the rush, Dallas was the 31st ranked team, and against the pass, they were 23rd, I think, something like that. I'm not sure exactly on those numbers last year, but wasn't good.
Yeah, it wasn't good.
And obviously those guys, it's a young defense. They have more experience now. But this is another one where we're talking about the Bucs defense facing Dallas's offense week 1. This isn't a good matchup for Dallas's defense facing the Bucs week 1. So expect Brady to just feast. I don't have much worry about scoring points. I have more worry about the defense. Does the offense need to be absolutely perfect to win this game? That's my worry in this game. That the defense may not be able to find their footing right away. And Dallas is going to have a lot of success. I'm not concerned about Brady. I'm not concerned about Evans, Brown, Godwin, whatever.
Oh yeah, definitely none of those guys.
I just think it's going to be not easy, but I think you're going to see a lot of points scored early and often.
How do you think
James,
this
your
offense
cue.
is going to start, James?
Yeah, one thing that I kind of want to see is no huddle stuff. We saw that in that,
And it worked.
it worked amazingly well against the Texans. Now, you guys will be pleased to hear I didn't draft anybody on the Houston Texans. So that's good.
Smart man, even though you did still draft 3 quarterbacks. So
Yeah, it's fine. So, I'm not completely lost on some things around the league.
The offensive powerhouse that is going to be Ryan Fitzpatrick and the Washington football team this year, man.
Hey, don't count out Fitz. But
Zach Wilson and the New York Jets. It's all the buzz in New York, baby.
Rashad Perryman, that's my wide receiver 1.
Rashad Perryman's not even on the team anymore.
Oh, he's not on the Jets anymore?
No, he's not on the Lions anymore.
Yeah,
he did sign with the Bears? Oh, Jesus Christ. I guess that goes to show how much I know about the Jets offense.
But look, the no huddle stuff, even if it is against the Texans, that is still an NFL defense at the end of the day. And Tom Brady was masterful running, no huddle stuff. So I want to see more of that, Byron Leftwich, in terms of doing things that other people suggest, he gets kind of stubborn. We've heard him go out there and say to the media, I don't know what you guys are talking about with motion stuff. We're not going to be doing that.
The first play, Gronkowski, the first play that the false start was on in the Texans game, Gronkowski was in motion like 5 different times.
Yep, I know. So it's I don't know what Byron Leftwich is talking about. Coming away from the bye week last year. Hey, what about play action stuff? I don't know what you guys are talking about. Play action, and then they go out there and it's Byron is stubborn. I think with certain things, Byron Leftwich is in terms of saying like, hey, Byron, why don't you guys do this on offense? And he goes, So I don't know.
He's not going to give his game plan away. I mean, I've been like a Byron Leftwich defender here, and like, why is he going to give his? He's going to say, "Oh yeah, we're going to do play action. We're going to do no huddle. We're going to do all this stuff." Why is he going to say that?
Right, and I do understand that, but you've also seen it's. I mean, come on, it's not a secret sometimes what works in the NFL, right? So you'd imagine that they're just going to go anyway. Whatever, it's fine. Point is, I want to see more no huddle stuff from this Buccaneers offense because it worked in the final preseason game. Like you both said, the starters, I think they're going to play really well. Dallas's defense, to be nice, they're a little rough. And I want to see the Buccaneers utilize that wide receiver trio that they have that has 2 future Hall of Famers in it and a guy who would be a number 1 on many different teams throughout the league. I think that that's going to be huge. Get Ronald Jones going in terms of the running game. Maybe you want to throw a little bit of Leonard Fournette in there in goal line situations. And then you have Giovanni Bernard as a safety valve in certain passing situations, which I think is going to be huge because that's something Brady didn't have as much last year. So I think the offense can have a really, really good game in week 1.
I think at the end of the day, if we're honest with ourselves, anybody who has followed Bruce Arians' track record with, just quotes since he has been the head coach of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, this entire coaching staff will not tell you the truth. So don't be shocked if Byron Leftwich says some shit out of left field, like we're not doing any motion. I don't know what you're talking about, because I guarantee you that when these media outlets take a quote like that and run with it, and a lot of the national ones pick it up and legitimately think it's a problem, Bruce Arians, Byron Leftwich, and maybe Tom Brady sit around in a meeting room and just look at their phones and probably giggle to each other. You know what I mean? Like they like messing with you. And not just you, James. I mean, everybody likes messing with you, but
specifically me.
It's
it's true. Yeah.
Like they're just, like Evan said, they're not going to give you the game plan. He's not going to say, yeah, we were really good at motion last year, so we're going to do it twice as much this year. Like, if you can avoid, it's not really something that they have on film a whole lot. I mean, yeah, it worked last year, but, preseason footage is only so much you can go off of. So not giving away your game plan, I think, is just the idea behind everything that they do. But this is a coaching staff that has a history of doing stuff like that. So I think it's a funny story all around. But honestly, I think we kind of said our piece about the offense and the defense. I know I said that, the conversation about the offense is going to be a lot shorter, and that's because I think there's a lot more comfortableness there. We're not worried about Tom Brady. He looked masterful as he usually does in the preseason, 10, 11 straight complete passes in a row. The guy knows how to find an open receiver. I'm not worried about Mike Evans. Not worried about Antonio Brown. I'm not worried about Chris Godwin. How about Chris Godwin? in that Houston game, right? I'm so excited for the year that he's about to have on this offense. Scotty Miller, OJ Howard's going to be healthy. Cameron Brate is back out there. Your offensive line is all healthy, ready to go. Alex Kappa's ready to go. Tristan Wirfs is ready to have a better first year than he did, or I'm sorry, a better second year than he did his first year. And that's, improving on 1 sack allowed the entire season for a rookie campaign. This guy's about to be an all-pro. This offense is in good shape. With everybody healthy and ready to go for week 1, there really don't seem to be a lot of concerns here from this camp. Now, ladies and gentlemen, to wrap up every single episode of the Cannon Fire podcast, it is the newest segment on the show, and something I'm excited to hear as the course of the season rolls on. It is Evan's Take Bag. Evan, do you have a take this week?
So, I haven't talked to Rhett about this, so this is actually the first he's hearing about this. The take bags will be exclusive for post-game shows.
Oh, okay.
Until then,
So, all right. Well,
until then, time out. Until then, let's bring back a checklist for a minute.
Okay. All right. I like
let's
it.
Let's bring back a checklist.
The weekly
let's bring back
baby.
a checklist staple. So I have keys, right? You know what's coming.
No, I know exactly what's coming, man.
So I have keys of the game. First key, don't let Dak get comfortable. I talked about it. Just don't let him get comfortable. Make him the mental game. Gotta play the mental game with Dak. 3, don't underestimate, or sorry, 2, don't underestimate Dallas's wide receiver trio. Talked about that. 2, on offense, use the play action early and often. It works. It always works. Okay. Checklist.
There you go.
I think the chat knows too.
Make your kicks.
God damn it.
Just make your kicks. Make your kicks.
Is this because of the little bit of uncertainty regarding Ryan Suckup in the preseason?
This is my commitment to a bit.
Because the bit ended when I remember you saying we can make your kicks off of the weekly checklist.
I know,
because we have enough faith in Ryan
1.
Suckup because he is now our kicker.
Suckup doesn't suck. We've said this a bunch, but
Suckup does not suck.
It's week 1. Let's just have fun. If he makes all of his kicks, it won't be on the list ever again. You won't see it this year. You won't see it. But week 1, just don't start off on a bad foot. Just make your kicks. Also, real quick, before we each go into our record predictions, I have a few stats of my own on just some like head-to-head matchups type deal. Tom Brady is 5-0 versus the Cowboys in his career. Dak Prescott is 2-0 versus the Bucs in his career. Something's got to give. Somebody's going to have a loss, or there might be a tie. Who knows? Then can you imagine that where you have to review a game that's a tie? I wouldn't even know how to react. Mike McCarthy, as the Dallas head coach, is 0-1 in openers, but he's 8-5 all time. Bruce Arians, as the Buccaneers head coach, is 0-2 in openers. Not great. He's 2-5 all time in openers. So not a great stat for good old Brucey boy, but hopefully, I know people will bring up, well, Tom Brady, every time he loses the first game, he wins the Super Bowl. So maybe, that's going to be something we'll remind people. If Dallas beats the Bucs, that's the first thing I'm going to remind somebody. I'm like, well, this means the Bucs are winning the Super Bowl. So do you really care?
There you go, man. I like it. Before we get to score predictions, I will say one of the things that I want to add to the checklist this week, and I stressed it right at the beginning of the show, you got to win the battle in the line of scrimmage. I think not letting Dak get comfortable, obviously, is going to be in the hands of all of our guys along the defensive line. Your Shaq Barrett, your JPP, your Joe Tryon, your Devin White coming on a blitz. I mean, even your Ndamukong Suh and Vita Vea clearing holes or just getting into the backfield like they tend to do every now and again. Keeping Dak uncomfortable is going to happen at the line of scrimmage. And obviously, controlling the run game is also going to happen at the line of scrimmage. So if you win the battle of the trenches, I think you win this game. James, before we do score predictions, do you have any keys of the game you want to add?
No, I think you guys both covered it pretty well. But I do have the running backs who I picked Ezekiel Elliott over.
Oh, my God.
Oh, here we go.
So I picked Ezekiel Elliott over Jonathan Taylor.
Wrong.
Aaron Jones.
Wrong. Double wrong.
Austin Eckler.
Triple wrong.
James, what the hell, dude? You don't even have to keep going.
Nick Chubb. Antonio Gibson, Najee Harris, Joe Mixon, Clyde Edwards-Helaire.
Right, now you're getting a little far.
James Robinson. So there we go.
Well, I would pick Zeke over James Robinson, maybe Clyde Edwards-Helaire, and the other no name that you said at the end of that list. But like, dude, those first 3 running backs, that's like, top 5 pick material.
Big brain
what
strats
the hell?
For me. Big brain strats for me, boys.
Who are your wide receivers, James?
DK Metcalf and Robbie Anderson.
This team sucked.
And then Laviska Shenault.
Oh my!
What's your
name? Pick somebody on the Jaguars.
I got the Dolphins defense. Yeah. Hey,
you pick your quarterback is on the Jets. One of your wide receivers is on the Jaguars. Your running back is fat, eats cereal like a madman. Oh my God.
James, we love you, man.
Who's your tight end?
Oh, Eric Ebron.
Of course it is.
He sucks too.
My
James, who's your kicker? Who's your kicker?
Cairo Santos.
For what?
What team is Cairo Santos on nowadays?
The Bears.
He's on the Bears.
Who are gonna suck with Andy Dalton, so they won't score any points. So good job there.
If it makes you feel better, I took like a lot of running backs.
You took a lot of running backs, so you had room for you didn't take as many as the them QBs. So.
You took a lot of them, and all of them are worse than Ezekiel Elliott, I bet.
Probably.
Who are the other running backs? Josh Jacobs,
Miles Sanders.
Okay, not bad.
Mike Davis.
Okay, not horrible.
Michael Carter, Trey Sermon.
You drafted
Jamal Williams and James White.
You drafted
James White, who just retired.
James
White did.
Did James White not just retire?
No. That was Deion Lewis.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, James White's re-signed with the Patriots.
Okay.
So just to recap here, you drafted two New York Jets, one Jacksonville Jaguar, one Detroit Lion,
two Detroit Lions.
Leeds gets even better. 2 Detroit Lions, and you have 3 quarterbacks on the roster.
Correct.
Good, just a bang up job.
Correct.
Hey, Ethan in the chat says it best. James, that team is lethal, an offensive powerhouse. Zach Wilson and Zeke with 3.5 yards a carry. You're taking the league this year.
That's right. That's right.
Let's forget about his horrid fantasy team. And James, if whenever you come back on the show, we will need updates on how your fantasy team is.
Oh yeah,
surely being like 0-7
every single time you come on.
I was gonna say 0-7. Oh man, I was gonna say I'm gonna be 0-7.
Did you draft through the NFL app, ESPN?
ESPN.
Oh, it didn't give you like a post draft grade?
I don't know.
On the NFL app, it'll send you like a draft grade, basically how the experts think you're gonna do,
and it'll like show you like a projected record. Basically.
Oh, I'll check right now.
Rhett, what was yours?
I got a B for my draft in the CFP Fantasy League. By the way, we did draft the other night for the Cannon Fire Fantasy League. Good luck to everybody in there. And if you were in the league and also just so happen to be in the live chat right now, say what's up, man. But yeah, I got a B, and I will read you my team grade right now.
Don't worry, folks. We will get to the score predictions.
It's the end of the show. It's episode 200.
We're building the suspense. We're building the suspense.
Hold on, let me pull this up here. Who won your draft? Definitely not me. So I got a B. My projected record is 5-10. And I am projected to tie for 8th. After picking last overall, Tampa Bay Bust Down, which is my fantasy league, or my fantasy team, is projected to land 8th place in the Cannon Fire Fantasy League. Let's hope that prediction serves as bulletin board material. With their first 5 picks, they followed a balanced approach, taking a quarterback, 2 running backs, and 2 wide receivers. By draft's end, Tampa Bay Bust Down landed a quartet of running backs with plenty of room to grow. Yeah.
So I don't understand this because my draft grade was a C+, worse than yours. My projected record is 6-9, which is better than yours. How does that work?
I have no idea. I'm curious who the lucky son of a bitch is who got the email that said he's going 14-1 this season, because apparently
probably Fisher. Fisher, if you're listening to this, you're too good at fantasy.
Oh yeah, what's the name of his team? The Peloton Beatdown or Peloton Pressure or something?
Yeah, I call
Peloton
them
Pounders. Chris Fisher, formerly of the Bucs Brief podcast, is a special guest in this year's CF Fantasy League.
I just call him Peloton Boy now. He's literally sponsored. He tells me, he has the shoes, he has the shirts. The dude's a madman with it.
Oh yeah, he's all in. All right, enough about fantasy. We'll talk about that at a later date when hopefully all of us are winning our leagues, right? Let's do some score predictions and get the hell out of here. I'll kick things off. And
also, let's do something else too. Score predictions, and also which player scores the first touchdown of the 2021 campaigh. Let's just do that little bonus. I know I'm putting you on the spot, but let's just do that little bonus.
Hey, I like it, man. We're all about high pressure situations around here. So, final score prediction, I do have the Buccaneers winning this one by more than one possession. Not quite as much as you would think, though. I think Dallas shows some signs of life and they can get on the board, but ultimately the Bucs run away with this one and they shut them out in the second quarter. I have got Tampa Bay winning by a score of 31-21. Tampa Bay is out on top. As far as the first touchdown of the year goes, I think I'm going to ride the hot hand of what I saw from this offense, and I think it's big 1-4 Chris Godwin, who finds himself in the end zone. Brady to Godwin for the first touchdown of the year.
James, speak now or forever hold your peace. I was really hoping you were going to forever hold your peace, but okay, speak.
I'm going to say 34-24 in favor of the
10-point buffer, I see.
In favor of the Bucs. I think Gronk's going to score the first touchdown. Brady
really
to Gronk.
In-depth analysis there, really good. I'm gonna go. Everybody. I think everybody hates when I do record score predictions because most of I'm more than likely out of these three, I'm the most likely one to pick the Bucs to lose.
You picked them to lose the NFC Championship game, and I don't think a lot of people are ready to forget that.
I did. However, this is not that day. The Bucs win 34-28. It is a one possession game. I think that it's a one possession game, but I think it's one where Dallas maybe scores a touchdown with like 3 minutes left, and it's like, ooh, or is Dallas going to complete the comeback? And then they just don't. I do think they're going to put points up on the board. I think the Bucs are going to put points up on the board. My first touchdown, going to roll with the person who I picked to be offensive MVP. Business is booming. Mr. Antonio Brown, welcome to Tampa Bay for a full season this time. For a full season, your first full season with the Bucs. You, my friend, are going to score the first touchdown of the 2021 season. And Raymond James Stadium is going to explode.
Oh, yeah. It doesn't matter who is in the end zone for that first touchdown of the year. I'm just excited. Just a full stadium, dude. Like, oh my God. It's so great to think about. But
real quick, drop your guys' record predictions in the chat really fast before we end off here. Just drop them in. Let us know who do you think is going to score the first touchdown.
Score predictions.
Who do you think?
Score predictions, not record predictions.
Sorry, not record.
We did that show like a month ago.
We already did this and got criticized for picking them to win 14 games or whatever it was. So,
ladies and gentlemen, that's just about going to do it for this episode of the Cannon Fire Podcast. Firstly, I want to say thank you to each and every one of you who are listening to the show right now. If you're hanging out live on YouTube, you're very much appreciated. Shout out to the moderators holding it down, the damn near 50 people on our live stream right now, which is really cool. To anybody who has ever listened to the show, whether you liked it or you didn't, we do appreciate you because we are still here 200 episodes later. And, a lot of the people who have showed support lately, it makes this worth it. You know what I mean? And we're really glad to be here talking Bucs football with you guys. And we're glad that, we have an audience. Like, it still blows my mind that I do a podcast out of my apartment and people voluntarily listen to it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's crazy. I told you that. I was like, it's crazy. Like, I think about that sometime. Like, people like literally sit there and choose to listen to what I have to say. Like, it's just like, it's crazy. Like, I would never think it. Thank you all so much. I really appreciate it from the bottom of my heart. Like, I really do. You know, it was a great 2020 with a championship, but now let's go for 2.
All right, let's do it, man. James, thank you for coming on the show this week. Make sure you guys check out James' channel at Mr. Bucs Nation. What kind of great content are you cooking up this season?
First off, as a regular listener of the Cannon Fire podcast, it feels great to know that you guys appreciate me. You know, I can feel the love. And then second is, this upcoming Thursday, I will be doing the live stream reaction, week 1, Tampa Bay Buccaneers versus Dallas Cowboys. Stay tuned for that. It's going to be a blast. I do, play-by-play commentary. I've also got a couple more videos coming out leading up to that game, so stay tuned for that as well. Mr. Bucs Nation here on YouTube. It's a great thing. And if you guys are new here, by the way, to the Cannon Fire podcast, go ahead and subscribe. Hit the like button if you enjoyed this show, this live stream that we did. And again, like Evan said, leave your thoughts about what you think the score is going to be, and then also leave who you think is going to score the first touchdown down in the chat below. And again, thank you guys for having me on. 200 episodes, baby. Let's have like 10,000 more.
Oh, yeah. That's the plan, brother. Make sure you guys follow the show on social media, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. All of those are Cannon Fire Podcast. Best place to go for updates on the show. And, of course, Buccaneer news as it happens. Speaking of Bucs news as it happens, you can follow my co-host Evan on Instagram at Bucs_daily. The #1 Buccaneers fan page on Instagram, rapidly approaching 30,000 followers. Follow myself on Instagram and Twitter at Rhettakus, RHETTAKUS. If you follow me, I will follow you back. And something I really want to do a little bit more this season, while we're kind of, this is like the season premiere edition of the show, so we got to get all these formal announcements and plans out of the way. I really want you guys to email us, goddammit. CannonFirePodcast@gmail.com. Send us an email. Send us a take. Send us something you agreed with, didn't agree with, something you want to talk about, whatever it is. Send it to our email. It is always open. We're going to figure out the phone line deal here soon. I promise you we will have call-in shows this season. We just got to kind of figure out some of the behind-the-scenes stuff. But in the meantime, send us an email, cannonfirepodcast@gmail.com. With that being said, folks, I am your host, Rhett Matthew, signing off from my co-host, Evan Wanish, and our very special guest coming up from the practice squad for episode 200, Mr. Bucs Nation, a.k.a. James Hill. Thank you guys for checking out this episode of the Cannon Fire Podcast, brought to you by our good friends over at betonline.ag. I am Rhett, signing off from my co-host, and as always, we'll talk to you next time. Go Bucs.